Hello there, welcome to Genesis Molds. My name is Bob Waldron, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at AK Interactive's Puddles acrylic diorama. This stuff is really cool for any of your dioramas that you might be up to, and it makes a nice sort of puddle effect. And we're just going to take a nice little tutorial product review of how this works. Now, before we go off and use this, we need to sort of set the stage, which I've just got a nice little base here, which I've just gone off, done some dirt and a bit of sort of flock and all this kind of stuff just to set our base. Now this is all about our AK Interactive Puddles, but just to let you know what I actually use for the dirt, I just went off and used some old MIG Production pigments. Right, by MIG Production. Yes, MIG Production has sort of gone out of business, but any sort of pigments will do. And just a nice couple of colours. We've got dark mud, dry mud, and Europe dust as well. Just some nice light and dark browns, which simply just mix together with some pigment fixer just to sort of set this scene. And as I say, put some flock down. Now, what we want to do is really, I mean, we could go off and straight away use our Puddles effect, but because we're using Puddles, this sort of dirt around here is sort of going to be a bit damp. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to get out our AK Interactive Wet Effects. Now you can use this for loads and loads of different things, but just to sort of help with our Puddles effect, I'm just going to get this, a paintbrush, and what we're going to do is where we're going to have our puddles, I'm just going to paint this on. You should see it will just soak in to all our pigments, because I've not like sealed the pigments in or anything like that. And what you want to do is sort of lay this wet effects where you're going to have your puddles, but to also go a little bit further then you want to go with your puddle. So you've got to try and sort of imagine there's going to be like a little bit of a bank where your puddle's going to be, and you want that to look a little bit sort of damp, i.e. the whole sort of wet effects, just to sort of give us that an effect. Right, because with the Puddles effect, this stuff, it's going to sort of make a bit of a sharp edge, so this is going to sort of feather it into a much more sort of natural looking sort of puddle. So as you can see there, it's really sort of darkened it up. Now with wet effects, the way it looks when you put it down isn't going to be the way it's going to look when it dries. This will dry and it will make all our pigments that are on here sort of darken up and look a bit sort of as it says, a wet effect. The more you put on, the more wetter it's going to look, but there is a point where you sort of, once you put too much on, it can start to look shiny, which isn't quite right. So you want to sort of be careful and maybe get a bit of experience of what you put on. Maybe 3 coats and it starts to look shiny. 1 or 2 coats just makes it look sort of damp and wet, but we need to let that dry. So wet effects is making that look a little bit sort of as I say, the pigments have gone darker and it's getting that sort of wet mud sort of effect going on. Now what I want to do, we want to get out our AK Puddles diorama effect. We want to make sure we shake it, make sure it's all come together nicely, right? And what we can do, we can just pour some of this onto a palette, and as you can see, it's sort of this dirty, muddy, puddly sort of look to it, right? Sort of a browny, kind of a greeny look to it, which is rather cool. Just getting our paintbrush, what we're going to do is we're going to paint this on where we want our puddle to actually be. So it's just a case of just painting this on. It does have a leveling effect to it, right? So after you've sort of painted on a thin coat, right, it will sort of level out, Right, and as you can see, we're just painting this on nice and simple. Now you don't want to just be sort of like pouring this on in a big blob, as you might do with some sort of puddles and wet effects. Right, you want to sort of dab on some nice simple light coats. Right, and what you want to do, you want to leave it for maybe 15 minutes just to dry. Right, and then go off and keep on adding coats to it. Right, which you could do maybe 3 coats, and you should have a nice sort of thick puddle. And also, not only that, you can sort of control it if you want to do like little shallow puddles or big puddles, you know, maybe 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats, depending on what you want. But we just need to sort of let that first coat dry and build it up. And so our puddle is basically all done there after doing about 2 nice thin coats just to bring that to life, and left to dry. Now I'm just coming back with our wet effects. Remember, we want to sort of make around the edges of our puddle look a bit damp, and a good way to do that is to get some of our wet effects. And I'm not getting too much on my brush. I don't want to like plaster this with loads and loads of wet effects. Right, we just wanted to sort of like touch around the edges. In fact, that's a bit too much, but we can sort of deal with it. We'll just sort of dab this round the edges. It should hopefully just sort of soak into our pigments as well. Right, and it'll just give us sort of like a darker, slightly wetter, sort of damp look around the puddle. Maybe just a little bit here and there just to sort of liven it up. And that should make our puddle look rather good. Again, you know, when this actually dries, it won't look the way it does when it's wet, so you might want to put another coat down. But there we go, nice wet effects there by AK Interactive, and that is how to make some nice puddles. I really do like the way it is. I mean, I know you can go off and sort of make your own, but it's all there, nice sort of colour and everything. Another thing you can also do is, if you want to have sort of like a bit more of a sort of stagnant type puddle or something, you could also come along and add some Slime Grime Light by AK Interactive underneath. Before you put the puddle on, you could put that, sort of paint it on a little bit underneath, and then that sort of slime grime light will sort of show through and make it look a bit of a slimy sort of puddle going on there. So there we go, really have enjoyed doing that. Hopefully you've learned something from it. So until next time, my name is Bob Waldron's James Models, and I'll catch you next time.